Hey gang, Rod at East Coast Lumberjack, and we're going from extreme to extreme. So last week I filmed a little clip from Toulouse, France. So that was the far and away. So this week it's nice and local, and I mean really local. Not even in the country, not even the province. It's in my own neighborhood. So. Anyhow, lots to chat about today, but what we're doing, I've got this bird, okay, so this is from a buddy of mine up the road, really good guy. It's Tom Eagers, and Tom runs an excavation company here in Keswick Ridge, and he's phenomenal behind the controls of one of those machines. It's amazing what that man can do. But anyways, he must be scrounging around and finding some old Stihl up there at his place. This is a heavy axe. Okay, this is a really heavy double bit. So we're putting a handle in it. I've got a nice long handle here. He also sent me this. Both of them came together. Now Tom's the guy. Remember here a few YouTube videos ago, I had some axes on my bench for like 10 years. I could not figure out who they belonged to. And I just threw it on there one day on the YouTube channel, and the next time Tom saw me, he said, "Hey, I think those are my axes." So that was awesome, because the axes actually finally did, after 10 years, get back to the rightful owner. So now this one here, he sent me these two. Now this is a pretty sweet little axe, okay, and I just put a nice Hetherington handle in it. Okay, so like in East Coast Lumberjack style, the grain's going through the die. And it says, it looks like Gator, either Satyr or Gator, Banco, Sweden. So it's got a nice stamp on it. Okay, the stamp's in really good shape, right there. And so I'm going to put an edge on this and sand the handle and put some BLO on it for him, because he'll likely use that one. And this one here, right now, I'm putting the handle on this. So we're going to tip you out here a little bit so you can see what we're doing. So, right there. Okay, so I'm making this one here to fit right now. It is a big eye, but my eyes on my handles are a little bit bigger still. So we're going to shape this one down using the spoke shave. Now, this one here, I put an ash in the other handle, and this one here is going to be a hickory. Okay, just because I need two handles, and I looked at the left-hand side of the doorway here, and I actually did have a couple made that were already there that needed a home. So these ones are going to Tom. So I'm just shaping them down right now. I'm shaping this double bit, so I'll show you what I do with it, making sure everything lines up nicely on it, and we'll chat a little bit, okay? Because I like who's it, Tom T. Hall or. Anyways, I've been everywhere, man. Well, I've been everywhere. The last month, it's been crazy what I've done. So, anyways, we're gonna shape this one here, and as we're shaping, we'll gab along, and I'll bring you up to speed with what's been going on. So just gonna now the grain is going. You can see it peeking this way, which means I've got to move my spoke shave in this direction to keep from grabbing on those grains of wood. And it was a little bit wide, so I'm going to come down here and take a little bit off the width of this handle this way. I'm going to take this edge off and this edge off, just to bring it down to the size we want it to fit our axe head. So we're just going to work it back, make it smooth right into the handle. So we'll do this, and then we'll check it again. See how close we're getting. Okay, that's a lot closer. I think I'm still a little bit wide this way, and I am just a whisker. So like you can see the eye, most of the meat's got to come off out here on both of these. Both sides of this axe handle. So I'll just flip it over and go at it again here. Now the grain on this side is going the opposite way. Okay, the grains are this way, so I can actually spoke shave towards myself here. Take a little bit more off the outside here. Shave this down a little bit. So again, it's right here and right here, the two outside parts where most of the meat is that we need to remove. So this eye. It's some tempting to talk to you Americans about your election. I think that's a good thing. The old boy, I think the bullets. I think the bullets wasn't by him as it brought him around. He was pretty hard to take before, but the man talks a little bit more down to earth here lately, which is kind of good, and he will look after you. So I don't think that was all as bad as the left-wing media makes it out to be. I don't even listen to the mainstream media anymore. I can't stand it. Because they're so out to lunch on most things you talk about now. That's why I put yourself through that misery. But, so we got to talk about the girls, okay? My last video, we did talk a bit about what was going on over there. So I'll bring you up to speed a little bit. I've been to Europe. I was there 3 or 4 times when I used to work for Natural Resources in New Brunswick. Back in the day when we were defending the fur trade, of course, fur trade was big in Canada. We had a lot of First Nations people and Eskimo people that required it. I mean, they needed it. It's a way of life. So it's fairly easy to defend, the humane trapping here in Canada because they rely on it for their livelihood. And of course, in the States, they used to argue about it from the animal damage perspective, which they had tons of damage. So I mean, again, we teamed up a number of times, and I was to Europe then. And then, of course, when I got coaching the Stihl Timbersports, the Canadian rookie champion, then I wound up going there a number of times. Okay, so I took my youngest boy first, Nathan, when he's still a teenager, he's a young pup, in 2015, and he won the first ever rookie world championship in Florence, Italy. So we were eating gelato in Italy and chopping wood underneath the statue of David. I know, it's pretty hilarious. I mean, it is. You gotta laugh. I mean, who would ever think that you'd be chopping wood in a place like Florence, you know? And then the next year I went with my older son, Ben, and he won a gold medal. He won the rookie, and a lot of pressure on him because his younger brother had won, and the year Ben went, the Aussies and Kiwis came. So, I mean, he had some stiff competition, and he had hurt his back, so he was down for about 2 months before. So if you watch it, just Google Stihl Timbersports Rookie World Championships, and when you watch the boys, when you see Ben's pretty emotional. And there's a reason for that. His younger brother, is incredibly talented. Nathan is quite a chopper. Okay, he's a big dude. But he can make that 6'4", 300+ pound frame move. I mean, he is fast. And he was the underhand chopper over there at the Worlds this year. But anyway, so I took both of them over, and Ben, we were in St. Johann in Tirol. That was in Austria, and that was gorgeous. That was a fun trip with Ben. Nathan and I went to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and then Ben and I went to Salzburg and saw Mozart's place and stuff. So I mean, getting a little bit of culture for the old country bumpkin over here at East Coast Lumberjack. And then I took the next 3 years. I had the Canadian champions again. So I took George Williams. We won a bronze in Hamburg, Germany, in 2017. In 2018, I went with Connor Morse. And then in 2019, I went with Thomas Henderson to Marseille, France. And then in 2019, I went to Sweden with Connor Morse. And they're all lumberjack competitors that still compete here in the East. So good guys, all great guys. So I was there quite a bit. Now my wife has sat home the whole time this cat's been flying around. she's been missing out on it. So we've always said when I retire that we would do a little bit of traveling, and of course on our bucket list was Europe. So we've been saving our pennies like a couple of misers for a while now, and we finally got enough loot set aside. And my wife planned the whole trip. So again, it was a lot of travel. We went, but she planned it all. We stayed in hostels. We stayed at people's houses. We did it on the cheap, like we did it as inexpensively as we could, and it worked out. It worked out awesome. So my job was to get us from point A to point B. So once she booked the flights and we flew from Montreal. We drove to Montreal, and it saved us about $2,000 on a plane ticket. So that was really well worth it. And then we went to Paris. So we landed in Amsterdam, stayed there for about 6 hours at stopover. Then we flew to Paris. So we did a couple of we did the Louvre and the Palace of the Palace of Versailles in France. So two pretty big attractions, and there was like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Not my cup of tea, but again, I've had the luxury of going over a few times, so you know what? Sometimes you got to bite the bullet and make a few concessions so that other people could have their fun. So we did, and actually we had a lot of fun. So we went there, and then we took the train. So I got a Eurail pass, and we took the train from Paris to Geneva, Switzerland. Rented a car. Drove across Switzerland for a couple of days, went to the town of Thun, which was really, really impressive. Did the castle at Thun, did a waterfalls in Lake Lucerne. Gorgeous. That was my favorite part of the whole trip. And then we went over to, it's spelled C-H-U-R, Chur, but it's called Kudo. So the Swedes call it Kudo. So we went to Kudo and got the Bernese Express and went the whole way up through the Alps on the train. Came down the other side into Italy. Then we got on another train, went out to Venice. So the cat was on the floating city, and we were even in a gondola going down the. Anyways, we did the whole deal. We did the deal. They said take lots of pictures. Well, I took 3,500. So we got a lot of pictures. Anyways, it was a fun trip. I'll say it was a fun trip. So then we went from. A little bit more, still a little bit wide here, so I gotta drop it down a little bit more. So then we went from Venice. We stayed there a day or two. Then we went down to Rome. Went in Rome, do as a Roman. So we did the Colosseum, and what's the other big thing we did there in Rome? Colosseum, and we went down to the catacombs, but I wasn't going in there. Who wants to see a place where they love dead people? Not me. Let's live among the living. So, and then the other thing, what did we other? Jeez, I can't remember now. There's something else we did in Rome other than the Colosseum. We did the Colosseum, and we did the Vatican. Man, those guys are serious about their popes. Someone needs to tell them they're just men. They're mere mortals. They are not the big guy himself. Okay, they're quite a step down. But anyways, they take that pretty serious. So, in all honesty, the Vatican is just basically a museum. So we went through there and saw, statues and sculptures, and my wife was, as a homeschool mom, she was loving it. So we got a ton of pictures and a ton of information. So then at the end of that, once we get done Rome, we get on a train. Then we did the big train ride. So we did 5 trains in 18 hours to go from Rome to Toulouse, France. And then we got to Toulouse, we were in my world. So we were there again, both my boys went to the Stihl Timbersports World Championships. They were both on Team Canada, Ben and Nathan. Ben was the anchor in the standing block. Nathan was the powerhouse in the underhand, okay? Because the Aussies have got Braden Meyer. And Braden, I know you watch my YouTube channel, and man, you can chop. And we had to get somebody that could keep pace with Braden. Okay, so Nathan closed the gap a lot. Because he's so big and so fast. And I knew, I've been watching the boys this summer. Nathan come back after his back, and he's been chopping well. Like Nathan, I said, they're going to do good. So, and actually time-wise, depending on how things all sifted down through the brackets, the boys could have been second. But again, you get the draw you do, and so be it. So But you look at the times, we had the second fastest time. So they likely could have a silver. But we got a bronze, which is great. They did well. They did phenomenal, actually. So, anyways, Marcel Dupuis, who's been on Team Canada, I think, since its inception. He's just a phenomenal competitor. So Marcel did the single buck. He's been sawing a really good single buck lately. So he carried the weight there, and the boys did the chopping, and Nick Russell. And all four of those guys, all four of them, are born in New Brunswick, which is pretty neat. I mean, New Brunswick's not a big place, but we've got some talent here, okay? There's a lot of talent in this province. Some of it's unsung talent, but give the boys their due. They won the so when we got there. Now, you saw the video last week when I was talking about backstage. So I had a pass, okay, because I was helping the boys with their gear. And every team needs, they need technical support, and that's what I became. So big shout out to Josh for helping me there and put me in to give the guys a hand. So I sharpened some axes, lugged out their single buck, and anyways, I was basically part of the gang. We got the big huddle there before each race and had a prayer, and away we went. So it was a great team experience, and the guys did phenomenal. So they did beat the Kiwis again, which is quite a feat. Jack and Shane Jordan are quite the competitors, and Bobby Dowling, and had a great talk to Bobby Dowling. Bobby, shout out to you, pal. It was great to see you and have a chat about all I've been through and stuff, and know there's another guy, another Forster down under that's in the same racket that I am. So had a great chat with those guys. Now, and again, you probably wondered last week, gee, there wasn't a lot of guys around. Well, it was about an hour and a half before the show started, and the guys had had their meals. The hotel was only about 5 minutes away from the venue, the Zenith. So a lot of the guys went back to either stand around and do nothing at the out backstage, or you can go back and have a rest at the hotel. So a lot of the guys chose to do that. That's why there wasn't anybody around. I shouldn't say anybody, because now the other thing I need to say, shout out to the other boys, okay? Fave Seifo, there's two guys in my books, given what I know, okay? They're the two best axe grinders right now in the world is Rob Spry and Fave Seifo, okay? So they grind a lot of these competition axes, and they do a phenomenal job, okay? Fave's been doing it for years and years and years at Tuatai, and then he went on his own. Great guy, and he was there. So I've never met Fave Seifo before in my life. I talked to him a ton over the last 30 years, but I finally did meet him, and I also got him on the YouTube video. So you guys that met Fave Seifo last week, he is a famous dude, okay? He's a lot of these guys that are world champions. He has ground their axes for them, okay? The Aussies and the Kiwis and stuff. So he's a pretty famous guy. So that he was on there is pretty amazing. And the other guy, the other guy you met that happened to be around, because like I say, most of the athletes were back at the hotel, and I didn't know that until I get in there and saw what was going on. So, but anyways, the other guy we met, Hans Hansen, okay. He is a pretty famous guy too, okay? He was the best in Sweden for years, and a really great competitor. So he now coaches the Swedish team, and of course, when I was out back, we got to meet both those guys. So you guys saw them last week on the YouTube video. So that was the far and away. And I'm wearing my hat. This is my Swiss chopping hat from Christoph Geisler. So I took a few things from the shop over there. So just to let you know, again, East Coast Lumberjack, let's get back into the wood stuff just so you guys don't get too bored. But I've made these here out of tiger maple, okay? It's a spatula. And the tiger maple is gorgeous. Once you hit this with oil, and I'd say use vegetable oil or olive oil, something like that, to finish it, because you're going to be eating, right? You're cooking with it. So you don't want boiled linseed or something on it. Phenomenal. Just gorgeous, gorgeous grain in this tiger maple. Okay, you can see it there quite a bit. So I made one of those for my pal in Switzerland that actually looked after us last time we were over there. And of course I took a East Coast Lumberjack axe handle over to my buddy Christoph Geisler. And a shout out to Christoph. He's helped out a ton with the training camps this last year for Canada and the USA. And he's a great guy, okay? He doesn't speak much English. He's en français. But a great fella. He's done a lot of hard work. So I took him over a handle as a thank you. Said, man, thanks a lot for all that you've done for us. We also went up to a friend of his place for for a fondue, a Swiss fondue. Man, if you haven't had a Swiss fondue in your life yet, you haven't lived. So they are really good, really awesome. And we get to have one at Christoph's friend's place up in the mountains there in the Alps. Just gorgeous, just gorgeous. So a lot of fun. So a shout out to all those guys. Who else? Oh yeah, Cody Steers. Cody, nice to meet you, buddy. Great young man. Had a little bit of a rough ride at the World Championships, and buddy, I know what that's like. Last year, Ben had a rough ride. So I get it. I know how tough it is. But thankfully, Ben bounced back this year, and man, he had some show. So if you haven't watched it yet, just Google it. Google Stihl Timbersports World Championship 2024 and give it a watch. So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty fun to watch. I won't tell you any more, but I will say it was exciting to watch. So anyhow, so we're back home, and we're local now this week. So I'm making a couple handles. I'm hanging this one here for Tom Eagers up the road. And I want to show you something else, okay? Another shout out. I got to do a bunch of this is the week of shout outs. So my other shout out, I want you to check this out. Now, you never know, well, I've said all along, what people have in their backyards is just phenomenal. Like, especially in this province and Maine, other places here in the east that we drive. You go into somebody and they got just a little baby barn in the backyard, and all of a sudden they got some flipping antique there that's worth like a couple grand in the back of their little spot. Like, it's just, I found over the years, it's just amazing what people have. So, and it's also, I find it amazing what people can do. So you can't judge a book by its cover. And I got a really good neighbor. We've been in cahoots back and forth. I helped cut firewood with him a few years ago. Kent Allen. I've talked about him a little bit before on the channel. He watches the channel a bit. And he's a farmer. He was a dairy farmer down the road. I've helped him milk his cows before. We've gone into cahoots, cutting firewood before. And then, of course, lately we've been in cahoots on ash, and he's got some nice ash on his property. We've cut a few logs, and I took you out here on the YouTube channel here last year, showing you us getting that. So I stopped at this place. I wanted to get hunting. There's a few deer around this year between he and I wanted to get down to one little spot and hunt on them. Anyhow, when I stopped in to see him, his wife said he's out back in the barn. The farmer was out in the barn doing woodworking. And I thought, well, that's kind of neat. I didn't know Kent did woodworking. Well, he just doesn't do woodworking. Check this out. So I go in and he's making this, okay? So here's the handle, okay? Here's the head. Goes in like this. This is hop hornbeam or ironwood, okay? Check that out. What a piece of work. And he was making this, and I thought, oh, that's pretty sweet. I come back home one day, and it's sitting here. He says, yeah, I made this for you. What a beauty. It's gorgeous. So it's a mallet, hardwood mallet, that I can use on my handles. So I'm going to have to retire the old ball peen, and I'm going to start using this. So you're going to start seeing the Kent Allen wooden mallet being used when I'm messing around with my handles, because again, it's a pretty neat rig. Perfect for what we're doing here. So anyhow, I said I couldn't believe he made it, and I couldn't believe it was as beautiful as it was. Had no idea. Again, you have no idea what people are capable of. So, and I hope that's what people think of the East Coast lumberjack. Had no idea this bum that has a YouTube channel up there in New Brunswick is capable of making the handles he does. So we're all, oh, there we go. Okay, we're on. Okay, geez, we're on well. Okay. So as I've been gabbing, I've also been working at this eye. Okay. So now on a double bitter, it's the same thing. You want to look down your blade and make sure it's sitting right straight in line. Now we're off a little bit to this side. Okay. So that means I got to move my head this way, which means I need to take some off of this side. So I always mark with a pencil where it needs to come off, because otherwise I forget. But now before you do that, you got to switch around and check this one out too. And this one, oh baby, this one is right on the money. Look at that. So that blade is perfectly in line with the handle here. So we've got one good side, and this one here is off just a whisker. So now I don't want to move the whole head over, I just want to move this end over. So I will make my mark on this end, right here, okay? I don't want it in the middle as much as I want it over here, because I want to move that head. I'll whisker over that way. So we're on here, okay, and you can see it's a really long handle. It's a nice, big, beautiful long handle, quite thin, so it's vintage. And we are a third of the way on, okay? So we're going to take that off again, and we're just going to work this part here a little bit more, because I want to turn that. Now sometimes on double bitters, it's tough to get them perfectly in line all the time. Sometimes it's in the Stihl. Now look at this one here. It's a little off there. Not too bad. Okay, I can see it there. Okay, so sometimes double bitters aren't perfectly symmetrical. And when they're not, that's when you wind up with a little bit of trouble when you start hanging them. The eye itself looks pretty good. So I am hoping that it is. The handle here, and I can take a little bit off and fix that, correct that. Okay, so that's the hope here right now. So I've taken a fair bit off of that one side. Actually, I should bring you down. So I took a fair bit off of here. And I left over on this side because, again, this side here, the axe blade was straight in line with the handle. So again, once you do that, then I go switch over to the Nicholson wood rasp. I'm just going to smooth it out so it rolls nice and smoothly into the handle. Like that. So again, shout outs. Big shout out to Nick Russell. Okay, Nick Russell is the son of Guy Russell. And back when I started competing, there were some big shows down in Riverside, Albert, outside of Moncton in New Brunswick. And Guy Russell, he was the man to beat on the buck saw and log roll. Great competitor. Okay, he's my age. He's actually just a whisker older than I am. But was always a great competitor. And then his son is on Team Canada. Okay, with both of my boys. So that's pretty cool. And then Marcel Dupuis, the firefighter from Moncton. Big shout out to Marcel. He was the steady hand this year, because he's a little bit older than the guys. He and Nick Russell must be close to the same age. But they did a great job. They did a great job. Fellas, unreal. Nick Russell was solid as a rock on the stock saw. Marcel had some great single buck runs. And of course, together they all won the bronze. So, and it's hard as a dad. I mean, when the kids were little, I used to have to coach hockey, and it's so hard when your own kids, because you can't favor them. So I was tough on my kids. Even when they played hockey and they were doing well, I told them, I said, listen guys, I'm not going to hoop and holler and cheer for you because it just looks bad. So I would just wink at them, and they knew when I winked at them I was proud of them. They did well. So, but it's hard. So, you know, we've lived that our whole life. So same as on here with Lumberjack. I mean, I'm proud as punch of those two boys, Ben and Nathan, of all my kids, you know, Emily and Katie as well. But when the boys are competing, it's hard because you don't want to make a big scene about it. But I'm quite proud of the boys. And not just in how well they compete, okay? They're good men. They've become very good men. And that's probably what I'm the most proud of, because they're great people. So, anyways, give it a watch. It was fun to watch. I said barn burner, so you'll like it. As we get down to the finer strokes, local axe head back on for my local buddy Tom Eagers. So now let's check this out. See how we're making out now. So, whoops, sort of hit you. Okay, this side is perfect. This side is still off by a whisker. Okay, so, and it may be sometimes with double bitters, if they're not perfectly symmetrical, which there looks like there's a bend in this blade. Okay. Looks like the blade's bent a little bit that way, which is why I cannot get that to sit perfectly in line with this. Now, thanks, Kent. Well, son of a gun. Son of a gun. So this, good thing I'm in a good mood. Because I just did this. Okay, now, what to do? Do I glue that back on? I think I will. Okay, because it's a nice, beautiful vintage handle. Okay, and guess what? Stuff like this happens. First time I've used a wooden mallet. Maybe I don't have a clue what I'm doing with it. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my, so this was not planned. I'm going to go to my trusty wood glue, lift this up, and I'm going to fill this full of wood glue. Okay, so what I'll do one at a time. Do this one here first. Actually, I got to do them both because this one here, I've got to do them both because this here has to sit over top of the other one. So, we'll put lots in there too. Okay. Okay. So now I've got to clamp them. And I have my clamps here from the last clamp job. So I'm going to put them on like this. A little more. There. Okay, so that one can go on there. I might be able to get the other one on in the other direction as well, which would be good. Clamp them both at the same time. So this one here can clamp the other way. If there's enough, and there is enough room here, which is great. Okay, so I can clamp this one this way. Okay. So there they are, both clamping from both sides. So I'll set them up there and let that dry. Again, didn't mean to to bust that one up, but it is a vintage handle. It's very thin, and I was walloping it with hornbeam. So we'll let that glue sit, finish it up on that end, and then we'll go back to hanging it, putting that head back on. So you know what? Poop like that happens. And thankfully it's on a day that I'm in a pretty good mood. Because otherwise I'd be throwing stuff all around. So that's it for that. So we'll go to the clipboard. So the next two orders are also local, very local. Jordan Mulhern, he's got 4, 5 handles here, all out of ash. So they're up on the bench next, and then I have Kyle McCarthy. So I've got 4 chopping handles for him. And then we finally get back to James Denton at the University of Connecticut. He has a few hickory handles he wants done. So, anyways, so that's what's coming up on the clipboard at the East Coast Lumberjack shop. I'm gonna wait for that to dry now, so I'll likely turn some handles out here on the bandsaw. I'll shape some of these ones here for Jordan and get back at those. So, biggest thing I want to do this week, shout out to the guys that we saw over there at the Worlds. Explain to you why we didn't see a lot of people around, because they were back at the room. And I encourage you to watch the go to YouTube and watch the Stihl Timbersports 2024 World Championships, both the team races and the individual stuff. And give a shout out to all the guys I saw there. You know, Brad Deloso, we had a good chat with Brad and Team Australia. The Jordan brothers from New Zealand, and Anthony, the Stihl rep there, great guys. Good to chat with them, and Bobby Dowling. Team USA, I should give a shout out to Nate Hodges. When I saw the trophy, we actually wound up sitting beside the guy that made the overall trophy. So when you see it on there, it's a hot saw, and actually the piston in it goes up and down. It's pretty cool. So the man that made that is from Austria, and he happened to be sitting right beside us up in the crowd, my wife and I. So when they were saying, you know, thank you to the guy that built the trophy, you know, and had built the last bunch of trophies for Stihl Timbersports, I could see them all looking at him and saying, hey, yeah, good job, buddy, good. And I said, did you make that? He said, yeah, I made that. I said, that's unreal. So because it was a hot saw, and Nate Hodges has put so much time into his hot saw with Dennis Cahoon on the West Coast, and worked, and the hot saw got him the American Championship this year. And you know what? It also won him the Worlds. So of all the guys to have that hot saw trophy for the Worlds, it was Nate Hodges. So in some ways, you know, good on you, Ben, that you didn't keep steamrolling right through to all the events. Like, geez, Ben had a great show, and hot saw bit him a little bit. But again, I think in the long run, I'm really glad that trophy is going to Nate Hodges, because he will love that trophy. So it's quite a trophy. You need to watch it. So shout out to them and Matt Koger, Mark Boquin, and Slingerland. Like, you guys, good job, Team USA. They got the silver. Also, Cohen Martin. Cohen had a great showing. He made it almost to the finals this year at the Worlds. That's quite a feat for him. Beat Cody Steers in the springboard. That's quite a feather in his cap, I know. Cody's a great competitor, big dude. First time at the Worlds, but did a great job from Tasmania. A great kid. And who else was there that did well? Redmer Knoll. He did well from Holland. Another good competitor. The Swedes are always there. Emil and Ferry are good. And Mike Dubicki. You can't help but to like Mike Dubicki. He's such a big, strong dude, and he does well. He did well in the individual, and also for Team Poland. Canada, not to steal all the thunder, but boys, that's a great race between Canada and Team Poland, so you'll want to watch that too. Anyhow, so I think that's it. As I wrap up, I want a big shout out to Sis. Cheryl, thanks for watching these. I know you love them. I don't know what you're learning about axes in the axe world, but my sister's quite a character. If you guys have never met her, I'll get her on here someday, because she's quite a cat. She's quite a girl. Love her with all my heart. So anyways, thanks a lot for tuning in this week. I know there's lots of social stuff on this week, but I wanted to bring some people watch this a lot, okay? And I like giving shout-outs to people that do a lot of good work. So Kent, that's why I did a shout-out to him. And also the guys that I know overseas that I didn't get a chance to say much about while we were over there at the Worlds. And again, when you're at the Worlds, I mean, these guys are getting ready to compete for a World Championship. Okay, so it's it's not the time to sit around and talk shop and gab, and you know, these guys are trying to hone into competing. So, and I realize that. So that's why I didn't do much in the last video, and I thought, you know what, I got time, I'll do it on the next one. So anyways, bring you up to speed in our world, in the lumberjack world. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Join us again next week. East Coast Lumberjacks going to have a lot more coming. Talk to you later.